it's Chi-Town, it's Bears on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the likes.
This would be the biggest move in Chicago Bears history. Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Bears fans, make sure you also do me another huge favor, also hitting the like button on today's episode of Keek on the Mic. Bears fans, before I go any further with today's episode of Keek on the Mic, I want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's video, and that is BetUS. As always, Bears fans, make sure you guys head over to betus.com and use promo code YouTube150 for a 150% deposit bonus up to $2,000. You can also get a 125% second and third deposits as well. Right now, the big thing around the Chicago Bears is who will be the next head coach of the organization. You guys can actually place your bet right now on who you think that will be. Right now, the betting favorite is either between Cliff Kingsbury or Ben Johnson, but over the next couple of months, things can definitely change. Once again, go to betus.com and use promo code YouTube150 for your 150% deposit bonus. So, Bears fans, this is going to be a very interesting episode. And for me, I'm not going to say this is all true, and this is more to gauge on what your guys' interest is and the possibility of this happening for the Chicago Bears in terms of targeting this head coach in the National Football League. But also we know over the next couple of months, the Bears are going to be doing an exhaustive search for their next head coach of the franchise. We've been talking a lot about Ben Johnson, OC of the Detroit Lions. We've been talking about Cliff Kingsbury, OC of the Commanders. Some people brought up Aaron Glenn, DC of the Lions. We've been talking about Thomas Brown. He has the next 5 games to kind of audition to be the next Bears head coach as well. But current NFL insider Mike Florio just offered a fresh idea that he thinks the Chicago Bears should consider, and it really got me thinking. I just want to have this conversation with you guys on the podcast today. He thinks the Chicago Bears should call the San Francisco 49ers and inquire about head coach Kyle Shanahan. And I know before you guys shut me down, I'm going to play the clip because Mike Florio not only talked about it on 670 The Score the other day, he doubled down on Rich Eisen's podcast and basically just gave his reasons on why the Chicago Bears should obviously do this move and why the San Francisco 49ers may be interested in letting go of Kyle Shanahan. That's what he had to say, Bears fans.
We know about the usual suspects when it's time to line up coaching candidates. Coordinators who have never been head coaches, fired head coaches who are available, college coaches. Those are the primary 3. One thing that I don't think happens enough is the John Gruden model, where you call up a team and you say, are you interested in releasing your coach, and what would the compensation be? And I've mentioned both Kyle Shanahan and John Harbaugh today as guys that maybe the Bears should call about. And yes, it's going to cost you something by way of draft pick compensation. But like if you would get Shanahan, and I feel like Shanahan and the 49ers are getting close to the point where they would benefit mutually from a fresh start. If you can get Shanahan and join him at the hip with Caleb Williams, are you kidding me? So I hope that in this coming cycle, we begin to at least entertain, and the owners will entertain the possibility of trying to do one of these Gruden-style trades, because I think getting a proven coach who's currently employed as a head coach, that's a pretty safe way to go, and sometimes a guy just needs a fresh start.
What gives you the impression that the Niners and Kyle Shanahan would have a mutual separation like that?
Well, there's nothing specific, but you just look at the situation. It's been since 2017. They've kind of been annually banging their head against the door trying to break it down. This year just feels kind of weird. It feels like it's coming to an end from the standpoint of the nucleus of players that they've had there. And you never know what's really going on behind the scenes. And I mentioned the 49ers in part because it was 10 years ago or so when they had Jim Harbaugh going into what was the 4th year of his tenure there. The first 3 years had all been very successful. NFC Championship, Super Bowl, and NFC Championship. And we reported at the time, and it was accurate, and it was confirmed by the Browns in a roundabout way, that the 49ers were close to trading Jim Harbaugh to the Cleveland Browns. So you never know at the top of the organization whether or not there's a sense that maybe it's time for a change. But after the 49ers lost to the Chiefs, one of the first things I thought is, At some point, I feel like Kyle Shanahan needs an Andy Reid reset where I've exhausted every opportunity with the team that I started my coaching career with. It's time to go to a new place. And I know Reid got fired. He landed on his feet in Kansas City, and the rest is history. But I feel like at some point Shanahan needs that. So if I'm the Bears, like, remember the year that people laughed at Washington because they called every team to see if their starting quarterback was available in trade, including the Chiefs? Like, the phone call is free. Make the phone call and see if there's a chance.
All right, Bears fans. So obviously there's a lot of layers to this. You know, it's really difficult just to trade for a head coach, especially like a guy like Kyle Shanahan. First and foremost, we do have to understand that the 49ers literally just extended Shanahan and their GM after making yet another Super Bowl last season. But this is once again what Mike Florio had to say about his thoughts about the Bears trading for Kyle Shanahan. He said, "I feel like Shanahan and the 49ers are getting close to the point where they would benefit mutually from a fresh start." Once again, this is a very tricky situation. First and foremost, they just signed him to an extension. I don't think the San Francisco 49ers will just fire Shanahan. I know it's been a tough season for the 49ers. They're sitting at 5-7 with the matchup against Chicago Bears this Sunday. But you have to think that the 49ers are in a predicament that they're in at the moment due to the fact of all their injuries, the injuries at CMC, Brandon Ayuk, right? Trent Williams has been out. Brock Purdy has missed time. Obviously, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle have also missed time. They have had a very unfortunate event of injuries. But at the same time, the one thing I do agree with what Mike Florio had to say, he said the phone call is free. I think the Chicago Bears, when you're looking at the Chicago Bears stance of things, they are in a situation where they have not had a really good head coach since Lovie Smith. It has been a very long time. They have missed on multiple head coaches. Now it seems like Mike Florio is just trying to offer maybe a different solution for the Chicago Bears to pursue. And Kyle Shanahan is definitely a really good head coach. I know a lot of Bears fans would say, well, he's never got over the hump in terms of winning the Super Bowl. And my comment to that is, well, the Chicago Bears haven't been to a Super Bowl since 2006. You're looking at a head coach that is a proven offensive mind. He is a proven head coach with proven experience as head coach. He has been really good with the San Francisco 49ers. I think he has a record of like 68 or 70 plus wins and only 59 losses, made 2 Super Bowls. Obviously, they did not win those Super Bowls. He has won 2 NFC championship games. This is a coach that knows how to win. And obviously, he hasn't gone over the hump. But what basically Mike Florio is saying is that he thinks that the San Francisco 49ers and Kyle Shanahan are now reaching a point where, you know, it's run its course at this point. You look at the history, right? You look at guys like Andy Reid with the Philadelphia Eagles, for example, where that tenure kind of just reached this point. Andy Reid was pretty successful with the Philadelphia Eagles. He never won a Super Bowl, but they were damn close to winning a Super Bowl. They ended up firing Andy Reid, and the rest is history. Landed with the Kansas City Chiefs, and now he is a multiple-time Super Bowl champion. So now you look at this situation with Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers, and I know they just extended him, but how the season has gone, it may be in the best interest of the 49ers organization and Kyle Shanahan to maybe at least consider the possibility like, hey, I know we just extended you, but it may be best for the organization and you just to mutually part ways. And sometimes things happen. I think he is still a very good head coach. I think the 49ers would be dumb to actually get rid of him. But when you're looking at the Chicago Bears point of view, it makes all the sense in the world. You bring in a once again, proven head coach, a QB guru. Look what he's done with Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy. Now he'd be coming in with a guy like Caleb Williams. And I think Shanahan would love the opportunity to coach a guy like Caleb Williams. And I think Caleb Williams would elevate and benefit from a guy like Kyle Shanahan. And I think he would come here and be really good for the Chicago Bears. But here's where things get really tricky. And this is where I know a lot of Bears fans would be like, well, Keek, I don't think we should do this. The Bears would have to give up some draft capital, right? And when looking at situations like this, we just saw it with the Denver Broncos when they traded for Sean Payton from the Saints. They had to give up a first-round pick, their current first-round pick, and a second-round pick in the following draft. When you look at that, I sit here and think like, man, that would be really tough to give up that first round pick, especially considering that the Bears have some massive needs, not only on the offensive line, but the defensive line as well. But when you look at the history and all the misfires that the Chicago Bears have had over the last couple of coaching hires, you're talking about Mark Trestman, you're talking about John Fox, you're talking about Matt Nagy and Matt Eberflus. Those are all failed experiments. So maybe when you're looking at, Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears organization side of things, they may be thinking like, hey, if we call and they said, hey, yeah, we're possibly interested in trading Kyle Shanahan, they would at least have to consider trading that draft capital to get a proven head coach. I know a guy like Kevin Warren would be all over this, especially when you're saying that you're getting a proven head coach in Kyle Shanahan. And yes, don't get me wrong. I think it sucks to give up draft capital when you can just go out and get Ben Johnson, or you can go out and get, another coach for free. But you have to remember that Ben Johnson has no head coaching experience. You're taking a risk by hiring a guy like Ben Johnson, maybe Thomas Brown, or maybe Joe Brady from the Buffalo Bills. Those guys have no head coaching experience. At least with Kyle Shanahan, yes, you'd be possibly giving up a first and second round pick in the next couple of drafts. But at the same time, you know what you're getting out of Kyle Shanahan. You know what this would mean with having a guy like Caleb Williams as well. I think this would be the perfect marriage. But once again, I just wanted to come on here and just ask you guys, because like I said, I'm not sold. I'm not even sure if this is really true. There's really nothing to this that's officially stating that the 49ers are done with Kyle Shanahan. Once again, they just extended him last season. But what I will tell you guys, that I do live in California, and I talk to a lot of San Francisco 49ers fans, and what I'm kind of getting from them is that they're kind of done with Kyle Shanahan. They think he's a good coach, but I think they also believe that the 49ers need a fresh start, and I think they think he would also benefit from a fresh start as well. They have been so good for so long. They have been so close to winning multiple Super Bowls, but they have never gotten over that hump. And I think at this point, when I talk to 49er fans in California, they're kind of at the point where, you know what, it does suck. We do think he's a good coach, but maybe it's just not meant to be here. So that's what Mike Florio is trying to say. Once again, I am not all in favor of giving up a first or second round pick for a head coach. But once again, going back to the Sean Payton situation in Denver, obviously Denver made a bold move to give up a first, second round pick. And now look where the Denver Broncos are at with a rookie quarterback. They're sitting at 8-5. In the 7th spot in the AFC playoff picture. And I feel like they're only going to get better. And once again, I understand we have issues on the offensive line. We have issues on the defensive line. We have a couple other issues on the football team as well. But the Chicago Bears have never been able to get their head coaching hire right. This may be the opportunity if Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren call the Niners and say, hey, are you interested in a trade for Kyle Shanahan? If they say yes, I think the Chicago Bears should at least entertain and explore that idea, even if they had to give up multiple draft picks to bring Kyle Shanahan to Chicago. So, Bears fans, once again, this is not set in stone. I just wanted to bring this to your attention. This is just Mike Florio's idea. It's okay to say in the comment section if you think Mike Florio is an absolute idiot for even suggesting this. But just go ahead and comment down below in the comment section and let me know your opinion on this. If the Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren were to call the San Francisco 49ers and said, hey, is Kyle Shanahan available for trade? And they say yes, would you explore that possibility to bring Kyle Shanahan to the Chicago Bears and pair him with Caleb Williams for the foreseeable future? Let me know down below in the comment section. But as always, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms. And make sure you share this episode of Geek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. And once again, make sure you guys head over to betus.com and use promo code YouTube150 for 150% deposit bonus up to $2,000, and also get 125% second and third deposits as well. But other than that, I'll be back for an all new Bears podcast right here on Geek on the Mic. Thanks, guys. And as always, bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic.